So Aespa had a comeback the other day, and originally I was just going to talk about it and its corresponding mini-album, but I felt as if that would be a little too short. So instead I thought, hey, why not rank all of Aespa's comebacks? We're a good 3 years into them being a K-pop group, and I figured now would be a good place to reflect on their releases. Now, there are a few stipulations to this list. One, we are going to be talking about comebacks, not individual songs. This list would be different if we were talking about songs. Now, the song quality heavily attributes to what is a good comeback to me. So a common theme in this list is I do like the comebacks more if I feel as if the songs are a higher quality. However, there is a lot more that goes into a comeback than just the song quality. There's the styling, the music video, the concept. I also want to talk about the title tracks in this video. I'm not going to be covering the B-sides, because at that point, this would just become an album ranking, and it would be unfair to some of the other singles that didn't have B-sides to go along with them. I will be talking about a few of the singles they did, which had some promotions to them, like Forever and Life's Too Short. I know they aren't traditional comebacks for the group, but if we were doing traditional comebacks, I feel like this video would in itself be short, because Aespa doesn't have like a ton of comebacks. I will be excluding some songs like Illusion, which I know is a single they released before their second mini-album, but that basically served as a pre-release to their second mini-album. I know you could argue that Life's Too Short did the same thing, but they dropped that song in all English as a pretty clear attempt to move Aespa into the Western market, and it did land on that album. For whatever reason, SM also put Forever on Aespa's second mini-album instead of their first, even though it came out before their first mini-album. Have no idea why that is. But Forever and Life's Too Short will be counted separately as like their own mini comebacks. I just want to do that to extend this list a little bit. Also, I won't be counting OSTs. I really love Aespa's OSTs, like the one they made for Tetris was amazing, way too short, but it was amazing, and the one they did for Pokemon as well was really, really good. But while I really like their OSTs, I'm not going to be counting them. I'm also not going to be counting Zoom Zoom or the Christmas song they did with Red Velvet. Those just don't seem like comebacks to me. They are both great songs though, so if you want my opinion on them, they're both good songs. Finally, this is my opinion. If you have your own list, comment it down below. I'm essentially coming out of Aespa retirement for this video. I don't think I've made a single dedicated full video for Aespa since April, I want to say. I've spent way too long breaking down the rules for this video, so let's just get right into it. And I don't care what to say about it. And it don't matter if you like it or not. I'm having all this fun, so why would I ever stop doing me regardless? No, I don't care what you say about it. And I'ma do it anyway that I want. I'm having all this fun, so why would I ever stop? So I don't hate Life's Too Short. When it comes to K-pop groups making all English songs to try to break into the Western market, this is fine. There are some positives here, like the lyricism flows pretty well. There isn't any weird hiccups throughout the choruses or the verses. And I also really like the bridge to this song as well. But really, this comeback leaves me feeling confused. This song was released in build-up to their second mini-album. It ended up being on their second mini-album. I believe there's also a Korean version of this song on that mini-album. But this itself was meant to catch the attention of fans in the West. Specifically, I can speak for the United States. I see a ton of Aespa fans over here. They had a tour. They stopped at plenty of locations over here. They have a very large fan base over here. This song was meant to capture the attention of people who aren't Aespa fans over here, and I don't see how this song would do that. It's very basic teen pop with a little bit of R&B thrown in and some odd hints of tropical sounds mixed in with a little bit of a ukulele melody they use at one point. But when it comes to the visuals, the styling, the concept, it's all very basic teen pop. Definitely on the cuter side when it comes to Aespa, and I really don't think that Aespa thrive when doing cuter concepts. And I think the reason I don't like the cute concept paired with Aespa is because their core sound, this hyperpop, trap, EDM sound they have, is the complete opposite of what you find in most cute teen pop songs. I'm all for branching out with your discography. I'm actually somewhat glad they made this song just because it gives listeners some variety. But how does this song stand out compared to the rest of the pop music you hear over here in the West? The reason I listen to K-pop so much is because it is so different compared to a lot of Western pop you hear over here. When I turn on my radio, I am not hearing a song like Bouncy from ATEEZ any time throughout the day. I mean, I don't turn on the radio regardless, but if I were to turn on the radio, I would not hear a Demian by Dreamcatcher. It is honestly puzzling to me that SM chose to pick the most basic teen pop, teen crush sounding song and choose this as the song they wanted to promote a little bit over here in the United States. If anything, they should have gone in the complete opposite direction of this if they wanted to capture newer fans. And I'm sure there were a few newer fans who checked out Aespa because of this song from the West. I'm not saying that it was a complete disaster for them, but I'm saying you should have gone full in and made a song like Black Mamba in all English to promote over here. It would have worked way better, SM. I promise you. I also don't really think the mixing is all that good on this song. Their high notes at the end sound oddly removed from the rest of the dynamics of this song. Like, it feels like they recorded them in two separate studios. And the music video kind of has this like glossy faux Y2K sheen all over it that just doesn't feel Aespa. Again, I don't hold any ill will towards this song. I just think it is easily the most boring comeback in their discography. Like, I'm not going to be checking this out in the future, not coming back to it when they have much better releases. So next we're going to be talking about their kind of semi-comeback with Forever. It was a winter theme song they dropped in 2021. Again, some people may not even consider this as a comeback, but I'm just going to throw it in here to talk about it. Some people may argue that this is on the spectrum of Christmas songs, but I would say this is about as much of a Christmas song as like Snowy Night by Billy is, where there's definitely some influences there, but it's definitely not like a Christmas song. This song has one goal. It is to flex the vocals of the members. All 4 members in this group can sing, and they can sing very well. They are some of the best vocalists, in my opinion, in K-pop right now. The MV itself is just a collection of B-roll shots and then performing on a stage which I believe is supposed to be occupied within a snow globe. And while I like some of the early 2000s R&B influence with this song, the production remains way too flat for me. We all love beach days where the water is calm and you can just relax, but I need a wave that I can surf every once in a while. I can't just have calm water for 5 hours, and that's what this song feels like. And while I'm very aware that this song is meant to show off the vocals of the members, I feel like there isn't enough high notes or big climactic moments in this song that really take advantage of their talents. Overall, it's a pretty forgettable release by me, and I'm still questioning why they released this like years later on their second mini album. It has absolutely no correlation to that comeback. The only reason this is above Life's Too Short is because I think the mixing is slightly better, and I think it does a better job at prolonged showing off their vocals instead of just like 1 or 2 moments. And I also don't hate them for dropping something in between their debut and their first comeback. This, at the time, probably served as a nice filler for some of their fans before they drop Next Level.
Got better things to do in my time, better things to do in my time, do in my time. Better things to do in my time, better things to do in my time, do in my time. Yes.
Better Things is if you took that like slight little tropical riff that was in Life's Too Short and made it an entire song, and then also added in some trap elements on the back half and some like deeper dragging synths. You would get this. This song is not outside the box. It's not breaking any boundaries, but I understand what its purpose is. It's supposed to be somewhat of a summer song, and I feel like it fits that criteria pretty well. I like how they weaved in Aespa elements into the song. Like, this definitely feels like if Aespa was going to make a summer song with their discography, this is probably what they would go for, and I'm fine with it. If it's the one thing I really like about this comeback, it is the styling. The stylists were on point for this comeback, especially a lot of the blues and the oranges they use. I really love the outfits that they wear during that choreo scene where they're dancing on the water. They all look very elegant. The whole comeback is given Atlantis vibes. I haven't been to Atlantis in a very long time myself, but I feel like they pull it off pretty successfully, even if it is a bit monotone for me. I really like how Winter starts off the song in a very rich and soft tone. Obviously, there's the iconic
Aespa, big girls making money.
is an iconic line. That switch up section does just enough to keep the song fresh. My real big question for this comeback is, why was it released in mid-August? Like, this is a great June, July song. I'm not sure why this was on the tail end of August. Maybe there was scheduling conflicts that came up beforehand. Maybe they had to wait to drop this. Whatever the situation is, this is a song that should have been dropped at the beginning of the summer, not the end of the summer. Now, to be fair, summer is different in different parts of the world, so maybe this doesn't apply to you. But for me, mid to late August is when it starts to cool down in my area and it starts to move out of summer. It's still somewhat hot in my area, especially this year. It was still very hot. If we're talking summer songs, I feel like this is a pretty good summer song compared to some of the other K-pop summer songs I've heard. But again, just like with my criticisms with Life's Too Short, this song gets away from their root, like the core of their sound, which is hyperpop. Now, this song isn't all English, so maybe this was yet another attempt to market towards the West. But again, I think they were getting too far away from what their roots, what makes their music really click with a lot of people. And while I appreciate songs like this for being in their discography, I feel like comebacks like this feel more like filler rather than actual dedicated comebacks that they spend a lot of time on.
Get me now. 지금 나를 잡아 아니 난 너 sad. Get me now. 이제 내가 너를 잡아 now. I'm savage. Give me now. 너의 말이 보여 약점 like a rhythm.
I feel like if it's one placement on this list that's going to shock some people, maybe some Aespa fans, it's the fact that I have Savage very low. I have Savage low for 3 reasons, and I'll get those out of the way first. 1, I'm not really in love with the music video. The backdrops they use in a lot of these sets really confine the music video to a box. I get they're supposed to be in Kwangya and all of this, but it really feels super constrictive. In one shot, they have a room that is very pink, and they wear pink camo outfits in the shot. I don't get that choice. On top of that, they put pink in Karina's hair, and I believe they give her, like, contacts that also look pink, so the entire shot is just flooded with different shades of pink, and it does not look right. There are a few specific transitions in shots which actually look cheaper than their debut Black Mamba, which had some really great transitions in it. My favorite shot is probably the choreo shot with the big-ass eyeball in the background. I think the shot itself is a little dark, but the red hues in the background give it just enough. I also don't really like the choreo of this song. I know there are some moves that some of the fans really think are iconic. I will say that hand movement Karina does, I believe, during the dance break is fucking impressive. I have no idea how she does it that fast. That's crazy. And finally, the mixing of the song is very grainy sounding. And I found that this is a trend with not just this song, but a good amount of Aespa songs. They either try to put slight vocoders on their voices, or layer them, or tune them in some sort of way in which it sounds very unnatural. I don't want to make it sound like I'm taking away from their vocals. I think they're immensely talented. They still sound very good on these songs. But SM and whatever their production team does and what they tweak with their voices, I just don't like it. A lot of the high notes in this song, they topped out really high. They didn't sound amazing. A lot of the high notes sounded like I was hearing someone through a Turtle Beach Xbox 360 mic that was half unplugged. So moving on to the things that I actually do like. I really love the bridge in this song. This is one of their best bridges in their discography. I think the switch up, the instrumental change is fantastic. While I don't like the mixing on this song, I will say this song does give them ample room to flex their vocals, which I do appreciate. There is a great winter high note, a fantastic ning-ning vocal run at the end. There are a few outfits I dislike, but for the most part, I like the styling, specifically one of the outfits that Giselle wears where she has cutouts in her leggings, and then, of course, the black bob on Winter is iconic. And while I may not like this song, I understand as a comeback what this did for them. This was their first mini album, which arguably has been their best mini album. This album had great B-sides. That doesn't attribute to this ranking at all, but this album had really, really good B-sides, like Lucid Dream. Are you kidding me? It follows Aespa's formula very well. This is very much an Aespa song. I think it established some song structure that you would see going forward, like the bridge into the dance break, which leads to some final high notes at the end of the song. They followed a similar formula in Spicy. I get what this song did for Aespa. A lot of people really love this song. Some of my favorite K-tubers really love this song. I just have never been able to get myself to like this song.
Funny how our dreams come true. My dreams come true.
When it comes to remakes in K-pop, typically I'm not a huge fan of them. A lot of groups tend to remake songs and then fail to inject their own flavor into the music, but that is not apparent here in Dreams Come True. Originally a song by SES, which was remade by Aespa, and I think this song does a great job in remaking the original while injecting it with some Aespa hyperpop charm. I really like how Boa was incorporated onto the writing and production of this song. I also really like this music video. It's not doing as much as a typical Aespa comeback would, but I do like the variety of sets they have, and I think the styling here is also great. With a lot of Aespa comebacks, they tend to have a dichotomy between lighter and darker colors when it comes to two sets of outfits they wear during the music video. This is apparent in the previous song we talked about, Savage, where they have a shot where they're wearing these whiter outfits and then a shot where they're wearing the opposite, these blacker outfits. They do a similar thing here with the fairy aesthetic that they go for in this almost manufactured greenhouse set, compared to the much more damp, darker streetwear aesthetic that they have in this like parking garage to begin the song. They even go for a little bit more of a futuristic look at the very end of the music video in the final choreo scene with the I members in the background in a shot which looks mostly constructed out of CGI. In particular, I really love long black hair on Winter. I think she looks gorgeous in this music video. I think the transitions in the song itself work really well between the verses and the chorus. It still has that weird mixing from Savage in it, but it's not as apparent. I feel like Aespa is the perfect group to give this song in specific to remake. I feel like it just fits in their catalog very nicely. The criticisms I do have with this song just come with the lyricism and one specific section of the song. I get the robot rapping section is supposed to be campy, but it just comes off as very annoying to me. I feel like there were better ways that could have been executed. It's just a very jarring bridge. And it's weird because it completely sours the taste in my mouth from the first half of the bridge where you had every single member following up on a great set of vocal runs. Like if you want to point to Aespa's talent, point to this bridge because you have Giselle, which goes into Karina, which goes into Ning Ning, which finally goes into Winter. It's very impressive. And then all of a sudden I have Karina, whose voice has been ridiculously pitched up, and this robot rapping in my ear. It just ruins the flow for me. And then there's the lyricism, which is almost too goofy. I get it, the original song has this air of campiness to it, but what the hell does "you make it feel me good" mean? Do you want to upside down? Like, what does that mean? How did they sing that with a straight face? Reading some of these lyrics feels like I'm in a fever dream. And him saying things like, do you want upside down? It's not present on the original song, so I'm not really sure what the point of those odd lyrics are. Besides those few criticisms, I remember really liking this song when it first came out. I actually thought it was one of their best comebacks at the time. And while I don't hold those same opinions, I do believe this is a very good remake of a song that, quite frankly, I didn't even know existed before they remade it. They do a great job at making it feel very Aespa without overshadowing the original sound of the song. Girls is the Aespa comeback that I have the most mixed opinions on. Obviously, due to the placement on this list, you can tell that I think this is kind of the middle of the pack Aespa comeback. But I remember when it came out, I thought at one point this was their best comeback. I was incredibly excited after seeing the teaser imagery. Winter's got a fucking sword, like this is awesome. And I remember liking the song quite a lot when it dropped, but over time I feel like it's lost a bit of its luster for me. When I was going back and listening to a lot of these Aespa comebacks in preparation for this video, I actually found this song to be a bit unreplayable. It's a song that I had no desire to go back and listen to, even though I think it's actually a pretty good song. My old group Dreamcatcher has a song called What, and it's very similar to that. What is actually a pretty good song, but I just have no desire in going back and watching the music video or listening to the song. I think this is Aespa's best music video when it comes to showing off Kwangya and connecting the Aespa members to the I members. And I think out of all their music videos, this is probably my second favorite. I just like the color palettes they use, the shot selection, the transitions are really nice, specifically that transition where Winter cuts an ATV in half and then it goes into the chorus. I think this music video is great at what Savage does poorly, which is opening up a lot of these shots in choreo areas to feel a lot more breathable and less constricted. The locations are also just visually more pleasing to look at. This might seem a bit contradictory to my previous points, but my favorite choreo shot is actually in that long hallway illuminated by green lights. It's easily the most confined choreo scene, which makes my previous statement seem a bit hypocritical. But the reason I'm okay with a choreo shot like this and how constricted it is because I can actually see the edges. When in comparison to the choreo shots in Savage, I knew those shots had open space to them, but the backdrops made the sets feel so small and in-house compared to these. Essentially, this shot feels very unmanufactured, while the previous ones in Savage looked very manufactured. I think the building feels very vertical. There isn't a lot of shots that widen the space. There are very open shots in this music video, but I really wish we got like an action sequence of Winter like running down a hallway, cutting through some foot soldiers. I think it would have made the building look a little more horizontal. A lot of the glamour of this music video ends up becoming rusted because I can't get myself immersed in the world like Aespa wants me to. Like essentially they get to the center of this building and destroy the stone crystal heart thing, and then Black Mamba disappears. Why wasn't there more security or protection or like a final boss or something? They just walk down the end of a hallway and Winter cuts it. It feels very anticlimactic to the rest of the song. Moving on, one thing I did like was a lot of the styling. In specific, I really like the outfits they were in the first choreo section. I like Giselle's almost motorcycle biker outfit. And during some of the B-roll shots, Karina rocks a trench coat, which looks pretty cool. There's also a shot which seems to be in some sort of like temple-esque place, and Giselle has this like two-toned brown and blonde hair, which I think looks really sick. And Winter looks absolutely stunning with that like tattoo under her eye with the blonde hair. I love that look on her. The electric guitar they use to drive the heart of the song sounds really great. It's something we hadn't really heard from them before. It adds this very gritty, metallic, cyberpunk sound to the song. I really love the pre-chorus, and I really love the bridge. In the bridge, I really love how the guitar takes this echoey backseat compared to the members' vocals. This still very much sounds like an Aespa song. I like it how they don't overly rely on the guitar. Instrumentally, this is Aespa with swords and cyberpunk, and I dig it. But then we get to the dance break, and I'm just like, why is this here? I have a love-hate relationship with Aespa's dance breaks because they do extend the song slightly, so the song doesn't feel like it's 2.5 minutes long. This song is actually quite long at 4 minutes compared to most modern K-pop songs. But the dance break almost feels too removed from the rest of the instrumental of this song. It takes a very heavy EDM approach compared to the electric rock and hyperpop mesh they had the rest of the song, so it feels kind of disjointed. I also think a good amount of the choreo for this song looks goofy. Like, there's no other way to describe it. There are some moves in this song that just look goofy to me besides the point choreo. I think the cinematography has to do with that. The camera work specifically during the dance break, it's very slow. They try to jump a lot with it to make it look cooler than it actually is, and it ends up just coming off as a bit tacky to me. This is the moment when they should be fighting the final boss, but instead they kind of cram in this slow motion choreo section, and it just ends up coming off a bit odd. But at least it's followed up with a really nice ascending Winter high note, which I appreciate because Winter's a great singer. Overall, I both really like but also somewhat dislike this comeback. I really love the attempt they were going for, and I think this connects me the most to Kwangya and their universe. I think the forced rap section and the dance break not being my favorite ends up ruining the replayability of this song a little bit for me. Again, in no way is this necessarily a bad song. I think this is one of their better comebacks, but I also think that there are 4 other comebacks that are a lot better than this.
Every day, 흥미로운 덫을 던져줄게. 뛰어들어봐, just right now. 'Cause I'm too spicy for your heart. Bring the fire alarm. 심장이 파고드는 너. I'm too spicy. 번지는 자극 속에 너. 바로 그 순간 또 다른 나를 발견해. I'm too spicy. I'm too spicy.
If you've been with this channel since they dropped this comeback, you would know that at first I was not a big fan of this song, and really the whole comeback in general. I think a lot of that had to do with the amount of time we had to wait for an actual Aespa comeback, and when they came back it was like not the best thing ever. So a lot of the initial disappointment with this song was because I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. However, as the year went on, I started to like the song more and more. It definitely grew on me. Same thing happened with LE SSERAFIM's Unforgiven. I did not like that song when it dropped. But now I think it's their second best comeback behind Anti-Fragile. And I think with these two comebacks in specific, I think I was just being hypercritical about them. Sometimes you just have to relax and enjoy fun music, and over time that's what I did with this song, and it made me appreciate it a lot more. So the concept of this comeback is to take Aespa out of Kwangya, put them in the real world after they're done defeating the Black Mamba. And one of my big criticisms on this release, specifically Spicy, was that it did not execute on this concept very well. I thought it was actually a weird release after Welcome to My World, which was the pre-release on this album, which did a much better job at showing us the girls exploring the real world. And then this released, and I remember a lot of people had questions on like, why is this the release? Like, it's completely different from the pre-release. And honestly, that's the one big criticism I have for this comeback, is that I still don't think this was executed as well as they could have. They are pulled out of Kwangya, put into the real world. Well, what do we see? We see the members in a mansion, wearing some pretty posh attire, literally dropping into school with a pink Mustang, throwing late night parties at their mansion. The framing is very expensive. I mean, Karina wears a shirt that says rich on it, which is vastly different from what we saw in their pre-release and honestly most of the other releases on this album. To put it lightly, there is a disconnect between Spicy as a music video and the rest of the releases on this album. They just don't feel in tune with one another, and maybe I'm missing some sort of lore implication here. I'm not big into their lore, so maybe I'm just ill-informed, but the implication that they're in the real world, living their real lives now, where is that in this music video? They quite literally don't interact with another human being in this music video. It is the four members by themselves. They throw a party at the end of the music video, but the people are frozen while they're dancing. There are parts of the music video that imply that Kwangya has made its way over to the real world. There's some genuinely really good VFX during their choreo shot by the pool, and then time literally stopping as the members are dancing at their party could also maybe be a hint. And it's interesting because the other music videos do a better job at following up on the real world concept, especially Thirsty, which sees them interacting with other people. The fact that they interacted with other beings during the other music videos where they're in Kwangya, this virtual space, compared to the real world Spicy music video is just ironic to me. I know I've been ranting about that one complaint, but it is really the only big complaint I have for this comeback because I kind of like everything else. Again, they have this very rich styling to them, and I think it works very well. It is distinct from Ive's posh concept. They are very much being portrayed as these rich, cool girls at school. This comeback has my second favorite styling behind one comeback that we have yet to get to. I love Karina with blonde hair. I love the outfit that Winter wears when they're dancing in front of the pool. Truthfully, Winter rocks a bob like no other person on this planet. Unlike in Girls, I actually like the dance break here, mainly because the instrumental doesn't detach itself from the normal instrumental too much like it does in Girls. And the instrumental in this song is one of my favorites in their discography. I love that deep gouging synth during the chorus that's just dragging its claws on the pavement. And in the second half of the chorus, they had some lighter synths, which kind of brings up the mood a little bit. I like it how this song is pretty carefree. Out of their bigger releases, this is probably the least intense so far, next to Dreams Come True. Spicy personally has my second favorite beat drop in their main title track releases. I like how it's purely a vocal drop, and they strip back all of the instrumentals for about a second and a half. Winter gets her high note that she typically gets in a lot of their comebacks. However, I really like how they didn't make her go too high with the high note or top out at all. Not necessarily doubting her vocal ability, I think she's an amazing vocalist, but with some of their comebacks, it feels like they almost force her to hit her higher register when she doesn't need to. For a while with some of their comebacks, I saw some people who were a bit worried about her vocals and how strenuous some of the songs can be on them. I don't really think this song needed an insane high note anyway, and I like the ad-lib she adds at the very end of the song. I really like Winter when she sings in a soft voice. This is going to be a longer segment of the video. I just have a good amount of thoughts on Spicy in general. I think it's a really good comeback for them. It sold incredibly well. I remember seeing a lot of people say that this didn't sound like a song that Aespa would sing, but I actually disagree. I think this is a pretty Aespa song. There are definitely less hyperpop influences here, but it still feels like a song I could see them singing. Instead, I think the concept change is what people were kind of confused about, especially after the release of Welcome to My World. But Spicy has been growing on me, and I wouldn't be surprised if from a year from now, this could move up to 3 on this list, but I think this is a good place for it.
I'm on the next level. 저 너머의 문을 열어 next level. 널 결국엔 내가 부셔 next level. 코스모에 탈 때까지 next level 지켜라 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 La 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 la.
Next Level is Aespa's largest comeback. Calling it an iconic song in the fourth generation would honestly be downplaying it. This is the song that shot Aespa to the top of the fourth gen girl group ladder at the time, and it's honestly somewhat hard to believe that this is their first comeback. Now, the reason I made this a comeback rankings list is because this song would be much lower if we were just talking about songs. I don't hate Next Level as a song. In fact, it's probably a top 6 title track for them. But there are some issues with it. It is very experimental in nature, and I applaud experimentation in K-pop. It doesn't automatically make a song good, though. I actually saw someone compare this to a Bohemian Rhapsody. This is not a Bohemian Rhapsody. It's not even close. While Bohemian Rhapsody feels like a journey through genres, this feels like a collage of genres taped together. You have the opening and ending segments of the song, which have this very video game sound quality to it. Very iconic arm dance as well. Then you have this odd post-chorus section. Almost feels like it's transitioning a little bit into teen pop. Section literally lasts for like 7 seconds, but it sounds distinctly different from the rest of the song thus far. That leads into a stripped back instrumental section with some horns, which leads into really the first melodic change in the song. Not as much of a genre change. This approximately 20-second vocal section led by Ning Ning in Winter honestly sounds like something that could be on an Aespa album, but it's a stark contrast than what we've heard from the rest of the song. Then they literally call out the beat drop and go into a completely different sounding section of the song, which is more akin to like an R&B jazz. They also fit in what I think is actually a pretty decent rap section. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of rapping in Aespa songs. Like, a lot of it feels forced and unnecessary. But this is one of the few rap sections in their discography I actually kind of tolerate. They finish out the rest of the song with what we heard at the beginning. As much as I don't love the totality of the song, I do applaud SM for going the experimental route with their first comeback and not just sticking with the formula that we saw in Black Mamba. The reason I love Billy so much as a group is because they literally constantly experiment with their sound. And I really like the willingness of a company and a group to go out and attempt something like this, even if everyone didn't like it. Had to be at least a decent song because it did really well on charts. The one area I do like in the song is the beginning and end sections, that very video game sound. I love the futuristic biker outfits they have. Ning Ning with red hair is undefeated. I don't care. It might be my favorite hair color on her. She has an individual section where she's wearing a red outfit with her red hair. She's standing in this room that's very blue toned with these crystals. There's red beams of light jutting out from the edges. It's a really great use of colors. There's this choreo scene where they're dancing this valley area, but it honestly looks like a painting with all the different color meshes they use. I love the vocal run that Ning Ning and Winter go on, and that jazzier section, especially the little growl that Winter puts into her voice. I also really love the way that Winter says next level. No particular reason, I just really like the way she says next level.
I'm on your next level. 저 너머의 문을 열어 next level. 널 결국엔 내가
I think Next Level was really big for them because at the time a lot of groups were trying to do basic retro sounds. Girl crush was still a pretty big thing, so a newer girl group to drop a song like this. Typically you see a lot of Nugu groups try to branch out and experiment in order to build up a fan base, but to see a type of song like this come from a big 3 group, yeah, I get that SM experiments with their music, it's kind of their thing. Next Level is, pardon my pun, another level of experimentation. It's not just a basic mix pop sound that we've heard from groups like Stray Kids or NMIX. It's 3 to 4 different genres layered on top of each other. And while the glue to the song isn't very tight like in a song like Bohemian Rhapsody, it's still interesting enough to get the listener hooked whether they end up enjoying the song or not. There's this odd fascination with the song that I have, kind of like Zimzelabim by Red Velvet. They're songs that subvert any sort of expectation that you had before going into the song. While I'm not the biggest fan of the song itself, everything surrounding the song is so iconic that I couldn't possibly put this any lower than 3. If someone would come up to me and say, hey, what is Aespa's key song in their discography? What's the song that represents the group the most? I would point to Next Level. I don't have a ton of huge thoughts about the music video. It's pretty self-contained. Honestly, it just feels like a performance video with a bunch of B-roll, but sonically, it is so Aespa that it has to be in the top 3. So for the longest time, I thought that Aespa's Black Mamba was their best comeback, which technically it isn't even a comeback, it's a debut, but I digress. I do have a bit of sentimentic, nostalgic bias towards it. Back in late 2020 and early 2021, I was arguably an even bigger K-pop fan than I am now. Mainly it's due to COVID and it shutting all of us indoors, but Aespa was a group that I actually followed pre-debut and was hyping up their debut quite a lot. They were one of the few groups that have actually done that with. And I remember for a solid couple weeks stretch, I was obsessed with this song. And for a long time, I really thought it was peak Aespa. It executes Aespa at a very high level. The music video, the sound, the concept. I said in my previous entry that if someone came up to me and asked me like the key Aespa song, I would point to Next Level, but Black Mamba would be a quick second on that list. And the only reason that Black Mamba is even above Next Level on here is because I just like the song more. Black Mamba has the best beat drop in all of Aespa's discography. It's not even a competition for me. The title call out and they drop on the beat. The choreo literally has the members dropping to the ground on the beat drop. It's perfect. Is it incredibly strenuous on the knees? Yes, I feel bad for their knees. But it is arguably one of the most iconic choreos in the fourth generation. I want to get my real nitpick of this comeback out of the way first, and that's in the music video, one specific section of the song. During the second chorus, the song pauses to show this lore section with Karina and the Black Mamba. Karina is adorned in a gorgeous outfit, like she looks amazing. This is their debut, they have to set up the lore. I get why this section is in the music video, but it just takes me out. It's just a brief enough pause that it makes me want to skip it, but I can't because it's only like 6 to 7 seconds long. Because right after that section ends is the most hype part in the entire song. This time Winter is on the beat drop and the camera actually follows them down. It's a really subtle but really nice way of expressing action through camera movements. Besides that, I think a lot of the practical sets look really pretty. There's some great CGI in this music video. I like Ningning's individual set at the computer. I love the transition where like the windows she has open transitions into Winter shot. I think the first beat drop chorus where Ningning has the gun that shoots the glitter and then it goes into the beat drop looks really nice. The styling in this comeback was also pretty good. I like the outfit Ningning wears in her individual shot, especially with the goggles. I love the blonde hair into the blue accents for Winter, and I really love the brief blonde hair that they give Giselle. I'm like 99.9% sure it's a wig, because I'm pretty sure her hair was brown. But she looks really great with blonde hair, and I kind of wish they would give her that hair color in the future. I think my favorite shot in the whole music video is in the train, where they got those like neon green outfits on, and there's like some Black Mama residue in the background. Looks like Venom from Spider-Man like ran through there. The neon green outfits stand out really well against the purple, green, and black backdrop. The song does a very good job at showing off the members' vocals. It's very important to show off a vocal-heavy group in their debut. This has arguably one of my favorite high notes in their discography with the high note that Ningning hits at the end of the bridge. I know there was some controversy surrounding this debut, specifically in the music video. There were some specific shot and art choices. There was one shot in specific that seemed to look very similar to some of the art done in a KDA music video, specifically by visual artist Timo Helgert. The controversy pretty quickly ended after the artist and SM came to an agreement. I also remember that Karina in specific was picked on by netizens because she got a good amount of press before the release of this group and this MV. I believe she was featured in like a performance with Taemin, and then in the MV she got a good amount of screen time and people were like, oh, SM is treating her differently. Some people were saying she was going to become the next Jennie from Blackpink. Obviously that stance has aged quite poorly. All of the members have something to bring to the table, and I don't think that Karina is treated any differently than the other members. But besides those things, Black Mamba was a great debut for them. People loved it. I absolutely loved it. The song is fantastic. But recently, something came out that I think is a little better.
I bring all the drama, I bring drama, bring my girls in the back, drama, I bring drama, bring my world in the back. 나로 시작되는 drama, bring that drama, with my girls in the back, yeah. I bring drama, bring my world in the back. 나로 시작되는 drama.
Has it been only a few days since it came out? Yes. Could the recency bias impact the rating on this list? Yes. I don't care. This is my favorite Aespa comeback, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, if we're talking about pure song quality, I think Black Mamba still, to me, might be a little better, but I do really like this song. I think the reason why I love this comeback so much is that I can pick out flaws in its game, but it's still executed at a very high level. I really like every facet of this comeback. The styling is A1. It's their best styling for a comeback. No ifs, ands, or buts. Specifically, the black and red dresses in the final choreo scene look amazing. I love the little black rose like necklace choker thing that Karina is wearing. And you know I love Winter with a bob, but Winter with this like wavy reddish brown hair looks amazing. And in another choreo shot, she looks actually really intimidating. In previous comebacks, they've given Winter a sword, like in Life's Too Short, for whatever reason, and especially in Girls, but when they give Karina a sword, okay, she's fucking slicing up people. But I can't really call anyone out individually with the styling because I think they all are serving visuals in this music video. Next, there is the music video, which is shot in a much different way than previous Aespa music videos, which is why I think I like this comeback more than the other ones. And it literally starts from the jump, the opening shot where they're standing on this red velvet table, dancers are surrounding them. I like how they play with the slow motion and pull it out for a wider choreo shot so you can see all the parts moving. I just think the editing is really good in this music video, the different transitions, especially during the chorus sequences. In previous Aespa comebacks, they used to play with depth with how they move the camera in and out. We saw this a lot with Next Level, but in this comeback, it's pretty stationary, but it's moving up and down to match the movements of the members. And the thing that takes these choreo shots to a higher level compared to some of their previous choreo shots is the addition of backup dancers. I don't want to make that seem like I'm like downplaying the talents of the members. I think they're all fine dancers. However, Aespa's choreos are never really super action-packed. It's really hard to have a choreo with only 4 members and make it look good because if you're out of sync, if the moves aren't flashy enough, it can come off as pretty boring. This happens a lot with me and Blackpink choreos. I really don't think Blackpink choreos are fun to watch, but I think the addition of backup dancers here adds depth to the choreo. There's more on screen for my eyes to look at when there's backup dancers, even if I'm not really looking at the backup dancers. I also think this choreo just suits the talents of the members more. There's a lot more hand movements. Let's go over some more really pretty shots in this music video. First of all, I need to give Ning Ning her flowers. She absolutely ate up this comeback. She is gorgeous. There's a line in the song where she says that she's a stunner and then immediately serves us the most beautiful visuals I've ever seen in my entire life. I also really like the shots where they're on that like red turntable with the backup dancers. There's a light that's like billowing down from the ceiling and Ning Ning's just looking up at it, but the shot just looks so pretty. I know I said that Ning Ning with red hair is like her best hair color, but I also really love her with black hair. There is a VFX sequence about 3 minutes into the music video to remind you that you are watching an Aespa music video. I really love the silhouettes of the members and the backup dancers in front of this drama billboard that's all red. The music video itself is a slightly different take on what an Aespa music video normally is, mainly because of the difference in aspect ratio. And the camera work is a lot different here. There's a lot less jutting and cutting between scenes, especially during choreo sequences where it seems to pan or frame one member at a time. It is very much like late 2010s slasher flick mixed with John Wick. I think this is the closest thing to a girl crush concept we've gotten with Aespa so far, especially with the styling and the color palette. And I like this sort of concept with them better. I think it fits them better than Life's Too Short. As for the song itself, I really like it. I think it's a great song. There are some nitpicks I have with it. I wish there was a little bit more diversity in the instrumentation. I feel like the teaser teased maybe a little too much. I had a similar thought with Spicy, but at least Spicy like has a dance break, and like in the second half of the chorus it kind of switches it up. This stays pretty similar throughout. I do like how halfway through the chorus it cuts off when they say drama, and I like how they went to the opposite side of the spectrum when it came to the synth usage of this song compared to Spicy. Spicy's synths were much more guttural and low and really bass heavy, whereas these synths have a little bit of a lighter tone to them, a little more video gamey like Next Level, but they also add some percussion in there. I really love the vocal stacking they do in the second half of the chorus. If any group can like vocally layer or stack, it's probably Aespa because they have such good vocalists that it's like it's always gonna sound good. I really love the second pre-chorus and the note that Karina hits about 2 minutes in.
1, 2, it's time to go. 타오르는 날 느껴 난 and I love it. 새로운
It's hard to stand out as a vocalist compared to like Ning Ning and Winter because they're so good, but Karina is also like such a great vocalist. Like I love her voice. The final bridge does not sound like an Aespa final bridge to me. It sounds more like an NCT bridge. A little bit of a lighter vocal delivery compared to some previous bridges. Instead of having like a more traditional dance break to the song, they finish it off with a slightly altered chorus that Winter fucking eats up. Okay, this little segment right here, yeah. I also like that rotating circle formation they do. That's pretty cool. Now, I do have some minor complaints because no comeback is perfect, and it's mainly to do with the color palette. I get what they're going for here with the concept, but there's like 7 different total colors in this entire music video, and most of it is red and black. That's fine. I understand that, but I feel like we could have worked something else in here. I'm going to be honest, I would have to put a little more thought into what colors I would mix into the palette here, but I do feel like it's a little monotone, especially with the gray shading they do in some of these shots, which at times I kind of felt like was a little unnecessary. Also, I think they reused a few shots. Like I remember seeing Karina slice someone up 2 times in the same way, but the first time it was like shaded in gray and the second time it wasn't. Overall, this was one of those releases that I kind of just got first listen. This is a little bit more of a darker, grittier version of their normal concept, so I don't think it'll be everyone's cup of tea. But do I like this more than their other concepts? Yes. And this is the first comeback to me that they were able to put together like the 4 main aspects of a comeback, being the song, the concept, the styling, and the music video. I thought all of it really tied together well here. I will say I'm a little confused if we're still in the real world. I saw someone saying we're going back into Kwangya. This doesn't look like Kwangya to me. I'm not really a huge lore guy anyway, so it doesn't really affect me, but maybe it affected some other viewers. To me, this is Aespa's like real complete package. I think everything here is great. And comparing the 2 comebacks this year for Aespa, I think that this comeback, before its release, was promoted for less than Spicy, yet I like this significantly more. This segment kind of turned into like a mini drama review. I like the song. Good song, great music video, amazing styling. I love it. And that's it. That is me ranking every single Aespa comeback, and 2 songs that probably aren't comebacks, but I originally put them in the video to pad the length of the video, and this video ended up being incredibly long anyway, but I'm just going to leave them in anyway. This list is 100% subject to change. Like, I guarantee this list is going to change pretty dramatically in the next year or 2. And none of it's really objective. This is just my subjective opinion. I know plenty of people in the comments are bound to disagree with me on a lot of these placements, and it's fine. You can leave your list down below. I read all of my comments. Hopefully no one is angry with me at any of these selections in the comments. If I go down there and see someone saying, oh my gosh, Black Mamba is objectively better than Drama, I'm not listening to you. If you guys want me to turn this into a series for other groups, I would be willing to do this for some other groups that I listen to. Of course, those will come out more sporadically. I'm currently wrapped up in creating like a 2-hour mega project for IZ*ONE, but go ahead and leave some suggestions that I could potentially cover in the future. That'll do it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this very extensive look at Aespa's comebacks and what I think about them. Stay tuned for my upcoming project, and hopefully I see you guys there.